After school here, I wanted to give you an update on my progress in the new Path of Exile League 3.26. So I started as a witch. I followed my witch leveling guide, which you can find in my channel, that uses absolution to level. And what I intended to do was to see what kind of transfigured gem I'd get from the first lab, and then make a decision about what build I wanted to eventually convert into. And I ended up getting 3 gems that were completely uninteresting to me from that selection. So I kind of opted out of that plan altogether, and I just continued leveling with Absolution. And with the new merc system and with these golems, I mean, the level experience is effortless. It's just so strong what you can do with this combination. So the golems, as I predicted, would really be a big boost in the leveling process. There's no question about that. So this is the 4 link that I used towards the end of the campaign. Absolution, Val Absolution actually. The Val version is actually pretty helpful, pretty cool looking too. Added lightning, spell echo, and overcharge. And I doubt these are the right and best links. Overcharge increases the effect of shock. It's probably pretty good. Spell echo is really good for absolution, and is actually buffed for this new league. Doesn't have the 10% damage, minus 10% to the damage, so that's good. And then I just left and added lightning. This should really be physical to lightning, but it was just so strong. It was no need to. I just forgot about it basically. So that's how powerful the build is for leveling. And I took this all the way up to yellow maps. It was doing okay in yellow maps. The damage wasn't great, but it wasn't too bad. So it's just a 4 link with the wrong links. So it's probably like 3.5 links in Absolution, and I was running yellow maps just fine. That's definitely the influence of these golems. And all I had was Liege of the Primordial from the Ascendancy. I didn't have these other ones. Don't really do much at all for me in terms of damage. This one's defensive. This one ignites, but not scaling ignite damage, so I don't know how much damage this really increases Absolution by. Probably not much, but this ignited enemies have 40% of their physical damage they deal converted to fire is definitely a good defensive layer. You have to hit the mob first, of course, for it to function and to work, and Absolution does hit since you're self-casting it, and that spawns the minions that are also fighting with you, but you do hit yourself. So this actually does function with Absolution. So it's kind of more of a defensive node than it is an offensive one. So all I had was the golems from the Ascendancy basically to boost my damage. And so this was perfectly fine into yellow tiers. I didn't switch because it was running out of steam. I switched because I just wanted to play a different skill. As I said, I intended to switch to Act 3, but that's not exactly what happened here. So here I am with, where's my gem? Scorching Ray of Immolation. And so this is Scorching Ray Totem build. An elementalist, so you wouldn't think this would really be the best totem build. Hierophant is usually what you'd go with there. So I don't have some of the perks that Hierophant gets with totems. But this is a kind of an interesting skill. The way you scale it isn't just by letting it burn. You want to put your totem down, let it begin, and then cast the totem again. And that original totem, that burn that it puts onto the monster will linger for a certain amount of time. And so you put on that first stage of damage, you put the totem down again, it picks up a second stage of damage, and then you put down a third totem, and now it's got 3 burns on it. And so you can basically control the number of burns that you can put onto a mob by increasing skill effect duration. Skill effect duration makes that burn last longer on the monster, so you have more opportunities to put more totems down. And then you can also get skill increase duration on the tree. Got potency of will here. And then because I'm running the Blight body armor, I can anoint the body armor, and I've got exceptional performance there. So I got another 25% skill effect duration. In addition, I'm using temp chains as my curse. Let's see where that is. Somewhere in here. Yeah, it's a green one. And so that actually increases the amount of time this debuff, this burn, will last on the monster as well. So this is a technique that I read about in the forums, and I decided to give it a try. Wasn't exactly sure how to build it, so I've been experimenting with it, but it works pretty good. So this character now is level 90. It is extremely tanky. I'm using the stone golem here, which increases global defenses by 20, but we have 180% buff effect of golems. We get that from the ascendancy. You get 100 here. And then we have golem commander, the top of the tree, 20 extra, 20 extra, 40 extra, 180% extra. So basically 280% of its base value. It's almost triple. So it's going to be almost 60% increased global defenses. So that means any armor, any energy shield, any evasion, it's going to be increased by around 60%. So we've got a very defensive character here. We've also got some max res going on, although it's not at all capped. This is just a really tanky character. You do get those occasional one-shots. It's kind of just a Path of Exile thing, but it's overall pretty good. I'm using a weird shield. This isn't the final form, but we've got pretty good. We've got our spell block capped here at let's see, 78%. So that's pretty good, but this cannot block attack damage. So since we're totems, we're mostly standing in the back anyways, and our totems also taunt, and we've also got golems in front of us and the stone golem taunts, so we don't tend to get hit by attack damage that much. So not having attack block isn't that bad, but there's projectiles. I'm not sure, I assume they get that block works with projectiles as well, and that's probably where some of the one-shots I'm getting are coming in. So I'm not going to keep this. This was a temporary fix while I didn't have much else going on. So that's basically the character as it is. All this equipment, nothing special. Got some stats and chaos resist, life, chaos resist, stats, life. Got some regen. Got the Replicant Dragon's Flight, +3 to all Scorching Ray gems. That's a really good damage boost. Presently, this is quite cheap. I think I bought this for 20 chaos. Prices were falling pretty fast because no one's playing Scorching Ray, so probably buy this very inexpensively. This shield costs nothing. His gloves are junk I picked up. I did buy this. I think this was 50 chaos, and it's fine for now. I think I found this base and I think I crafted this one. Nothing special here by any stretch of the imagination. So Spore Guard is pretty cool, and I didn't think to use it, except I dropped it in a Blight, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. I've actually never used it. I've dropped them before. It's kind of an interesting chess piece, but I get my chaos resist there, so I've actually capped my chaos resist, which is not something I usually do. It's 79%. And then it's got this fungal ground effect, which causes monsters killed to explode. Now, that never happens because I'm standing in the back behind my totems. My totems are killing things in the foreground, so I'm not actually getting those explosions ever, as far as I can tell. But nonetheless, the defensive stats are okay, and I got the extra anoint on this because it is a blight item. So I don't know if I'm going to stay with it or not. It does have this cool ground effect when you're stationary. So maybe I'll just keep it for the aesthetics. Hard to say. Right now I've got no boots because I put them onto my mercenary.
What?
He's using Legacy of Fury because they scorch nearby enemies. So Scorch lowers fire resistance, which is increasing the damage that Scorching Ray does, or any kind of fire. This merc also does fire damage. Also curses with flammability. Also has Alchemist Mark, which is kind of cool. Creates burning ground under the target. And so I gave them a ring that allows them to apply an additional curse. So this is actually like a curse bot that's doing Scorch, and then Flammability and Alchemist Mark all at the same time. The damage it does isn't really anything impressive, but it is something. It's kind of hard to judge, honestly. But it's I just upgraded this equipment here, so I haven't really had a chance to play with it much. I played with the 2 curses. It really makes a significant difference. This is a 1 chaos ring. You're likely to even drop it during the campaign, and it allows any merc like this who's got more than 1 curse to apply both curses at the same time. It's a huge improvement. If they've got 2 curses like this and they don't have an item that gives them an extra curse, they're only going to be able to do 1 at a time, and it's really much less effective that way. So this was a huge boost. I haven't tried this yet, but the merc gets near the monsters a lot more than I do since I'm back with my totems. So I'm not sure if I was triggering the nearby enemies are scorched even with it, and I think the merc has a much better chance. So this will actually cause monsters to explode as well. And when I was wearing them, I hardly ever saw that effect. So I think it's not likely that it was actually triggering for me. And so it's kind of just a bunch of dead stats and movement speed for me. On the merc, we'll see how it goes. I mean, ideally I'd have a melee merc, and they'd have these boots and he'd always be with the monsters. But anyways, this is the one I found, and it's actually working really, really well. So speaking of mercenaries, I also have, let's see.
Hurry it up.
Not this one. This one's, I'm leveling a 2nd character, and so this is just a level 21. I put on Shaper's Seed, which gives life regen, mana regen. This is really, really helpful. I'm playing minions, of course, going to the campaign. So this gives us all this great regen here for basically for free. And then Belt of the Deceiver. Nearby enemies are intimidated, which I think is 10% extra damage. So I just put that on. I haven't actually tested it out, but it should work pretty fine. Now the thing is, I'll be upgrading this mercenary pretty frequently during the campaign to keep up with levels. And so you got to remember to take the items off before you dismiss them and replace them with someone new. I haven't actually tried to dismiss it when it has these items, so I don't know what'll happen, but I assume you just lose them. So in any case, that's what my character looks like. Campaign, incredible piece of cake with my witch leveling guide. Now with the new golems, it's just even that much more ridiculously strong. And carried me, as I said, even into yellow maps, no problem. And I also followed my blight guide, And here's my blight maps that I've collected so far, and my currency tab. Actually, I dropped one divine very early on in Blight. For one of the first 3 maps I ran in Blight, I got a divine. The other 2 came from mappers that I'm running in the town, King's March. But I saved up enough currency to 6-link my armor myself, so that was something like around, I think I used around 1,000 fusings, and I don't know, several hundred jewelers, and all of that came from Blight. So Blight proved to be a great campaign starter, way of getting some new currency going in an early league. Actually, I got this body armor, which seems to be perfectly fine for even what I'm doing now, which is I'm cleaning up my tier 14 maps. You can take a look at my atlas here, atlas tree. Yeah, so I'm pretty much at tier 14s, tier 15s, tier 16s, and I run them perfectly fine with the Scorching Ray setup. I just haven't actually gotten through them all yet. Atlas tree, just as I showed you before, went through this blight wheel. I blocked some of the mechanics I didn't want because I wanted to see more blights to begin with, and there's just a couple that I never run. Came up here, came over to this blight wheel, up all this blight chance. I think you have 100% chance for blight encounters by the time you finish this wheel here. I added the labyrinth trial chance. I think I've got 4 of 6 done so far. Up here, more blight. Up here, more blight. And then I finished it up here, more blight. After that, I went across here to the map tier wheel here. And then I went across here to the Abyss to get a chance to get the corrupted 5 or 6 mod Abyss jewels, which are, some of them are pretty cool. And now I'm filling in my Abyss wheel up here. So I've got Blight and I've got Abyss, and that is my Atlas tree. Yeah, so this character is great. I can just show you what the skill looks like here. I don't have any boots on right now because I put them on my mercenary, but I will. So it's a great looking skill. It's got kind of an interesting, subtle sound to it. Cast speed increases the rate at which the beams turn.
Don't bother dodging!
Yeah, so it looks something like that. And going through red tier map looks pretty much the same as what I just showed you there. Didn't show you the passive tree here. Okay, passive tree. So I actually had a couple points to clean up here, but started here in Witch, of course. Start with Rolling Magma, come up through the spell damage nodes. I come over here, pick up the minion duration. Down, get some life. Up here, get some minion life and attack and cast speed for minions. Come up, more life. Come down, and then get the minion wheel up to Spiritual Aid. So once I get Spiritual Aid, the increase in minion damage applies to me. This is generic damage increase, so any skill you use actually gets stronger. But it's at that point that I switch to Absolution because it's got a self-cast component and it's also got the minion damage component. So when you have Spiritual Aid, all these nodes are going to amplify both your damage and your minions' damage. So this is a really good boost right there. At that point, you can respec these early tree points in spell damage They help you still with Absolution, your self-cast component, but there's some minion nodes over here that are going to be actually a little bit better. So you can respec over there if you're staying pure minions. I was not planning on staying pure minions, so I just pathed around the starting points so I could have more points to spend elsewhere. After that, I came up through more minion damage and over to this physical damage reduction for minions. And at that point, you've pretty much got all your core minion nodes in place. You've got minion duration here, or minion duration here. You've got minion life here. You've got attack and cast speed for minions here. You've got the big minion wheel here. You've got physical damage reduction for minions here. It's basically your minions will be practically immortal by the time you get this wheel in the campaign. And I came up here, I took Golem Commander. My first ascendancy was Liege of the Primordial. I got my golems going at the end of Act 3. And at that point, I basically didn't need to spend any points on the passive tree anymore because my build was really quite strong. Even with the wrong links, it carried me to yellow tier maps. You do need to pick up some life here and there to stay alive. Okay, so that's what I did through yellow tier maps. And then I respect into this current tree here. I have a cluster here with sleepless sentries, and then just another totem node that gives them some defenses. Sleepless sentries is really the one you want. It gives your totems onslaught, which increases their cast speed. That increases the rotational speed of the Scorching Ray quite a bit. It really does help a lot. Since it's doing this burning damage over time, we've got our fire damage wheel. We've got damage over time. Unspec the offensive minion stuff because we just got the golems. We just need to keep them alive. So the minion life and the minion leech is really helpful. I'm not even sure at this point if this physical damage reduction is necessary, so I've been unspecking it to steal those points. I think it may become necessary with the hardest content and bosses. Your golems are immune to elemental damage here, which is great, but they're vulnerable to physical damage. So there's physical damage, and there's also chaos resist, which they might need in, really later content. Even just mapping, red tier mapping, this isn't necessary at all. They're fine. Some of the memory bosses that I fought, I think I did lose a couple minions at a couple points, so I'm thinking these defensive nodes for the golems might be necessary, or at least convenient to have. I came down here for some life, basically, armor. We got life here, we have mana reservation efficiency, and I've got our ancestral bond, which gives you an extra totem, but your other skills can't do any damage. So since I'm just pure totem, this is totally fine. My plan is to get a shield with the Shaper mod of +1 totem on it, so it can have 4 totems still. Drop ancestral bonds. So instead of having 5 totems, I'll have 4, which is definitely a very meaningful damage reduction. But it will allow me to do damage with spells, and I'll be able to hit now again. So I'll be able to do this damage reduction with Shaper of the Flames. If that's something I want to do, I'll also be able to do Ignite. I can chill. I can shock. So those are possibilities that open up by not having ancestral bonds, but they They do not work, as far as I can tell, with Ancestral Bonds allocated. So I'm not planning on running Heralds, so I don't have any use for this. I don't think these, at least the way I've built, are helpful to me. This Mastermind of Discord could be helpful if I wanted to go kind of more of a resistance reduction damage scaling, but that's not really what I'm doing. It has some of that, but that's not the main damage scaling. So a little bit hard to say how I'll finish up this character, but all in all, it's feeling really good. I map red tier maps with no problems. As I said, I fought some of the memory bosses already. There's a series of 2. I won't talk too much about them in case you want to find out for yourself. And honestly, the fights were a little slow because damage isn't too high, but they were easy. I think I was deathless in both of them. And I barely felt in danger, even though there's all these crazy mechanics and effects going off in the arena. And I had my mercenary with me. I wasn't sure if I can't remember now if they came into the fight with me, but that makes everything tougher. So yeah, this build, totally fine. So something a little weird happened. I was planning on building, as an early character, is doing my Chieftain Frostblink Ignite character again. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it again because I already played it up to a fairly high level at the end of 3.25 just to test it out. And it's definitely cool and it works well. It's a great tier 16 mapper, and maybe it could go further than that, I'm not sure. But I was kind of on the fence with it because there's a bunch of different builds that I want to try. In any case, while I was leveling, or at some point in this process, I dropped the chess piece that works with that build. It's Bond's Leaf, which has the +5 to movement gems, and it's also got this increased damage with movement skills. The maximum roll is 100%, and I get a 98%, so I'm 2% off of perfect in terms of the damage stats on this body armor. And I thought, that must be a sign. Maybe I should do that Frostblink Ignite build again. And then not long after that, I dropped a second one, which is perfect. +5 to levels, 100% increased damage. So I got perfect damage rolls. I don't know if the signs could be any more clear that Path of Exile wants me to play the Frostblink Ignite again. Someone in the comments asked me about playing it as elementalist, and now that I've seen how ridiculously strong these golems are, it's kind of starting to make sense to me now. Before, Shaper of Flames, which you have to take for Ignite, used to have a 25% more damage, which is really significant. That's a gem link, basically. So it's effectively like a Frostblink becomes a 7 link damage skill. It's gone now. Okay, we have this defensive mod in its place now, which is fine, but it's not 25% more damage, so it's going to be weaker. Well, then they added these golems, and one of these golems here, see if I can find it. Yeah, Chaos Golem. So right now I'm at +16. Is that the maximum? I'm not sure. 16 to damage over time multiplier. So that's a really coveted stat for any Ignite build, because that's the main way that you scale damage. Now you can get items that have damage over time multipliers, and they cap out around, I think, 32, 35 to a fire damage multiplier over time. You can get a double stat one, but it starts getting difficult to craft or they become expensive. So with our minion here, we've got 16, but we have 180% buff effect at a minimum. We could actually scale more with more golem buff effect. And there is a 40% golem buff effect on a cluster node. So I could get some cluster jewels for golems and increase that even more. So, you know, nearly 3 times this is 40%, 42% damage over time multiplier. That's higher than a tier 1 stat on a weapon. So it's like having an extra weapon's worth of fire dot multi, or damage over time multiplier. So let's see what that looks like in Path of Building. It might be a way to go. Right now, though, I'm leveling another witch. It's going to be an occultist, and I'm going to go with Death's Oath, which is a chest armor that creates death aura. It's kind of like a righteous fire aura. And I'm really going to try to do something different and unexpected with it. I really am not sure how it's going to work out. I have not tried to model it in Path of Building even. I don't know what the tree is going to look like. I don't know how the equipment's going to work out. I just have a collection of ideas for it which sound like they'll be fun. I think it will be a fun build, even if it's terrible. And that's really my kind of build, honestly. It's fun. Doesn't have to be good as long as it's interesting, weird puzzle to figure out in terms of building it. So that's the game so far for me. Hope you're all having a great league, and you know, one thing that's very accessible
Don't poke around too long.
in this league is putting equipment on your mercenaries.
I'm bored.
Like for leveling, you know, these 2 items are extremely inexpensive. You probably drop them somewhere in the campaign if you get lucky, or something similar to them. You know, think about how items like this can enhance your mercenaries, because this is really a whole new dimension on your build in Path of Exile. How your character interacts with these mercenaries. I mean, before
Hurry up. I'm bored.
I'd be running a vulnerability curse on my character. Well, okay, my mercenary does that for me now. I'd be running Grace, my defensive layer. I don't know if I'm just going to rely on the mercenary to run Grace for me, but I could, in theory. If it had another aura, that's going to enhance my build, and my auras, I believe, enhance the mercenary. And here, you know, basically I have a curse bot with 2 curses and Scorch. That's never been possible before, playing solo anyways. So it's some really fascinating possibilities here with these mercenaries. I was also thinking about a build that used an Animate Guardian. Now that Animate Guardian doesn't lose its items when they die, you could use them in a lot more circumstances than you could before. Before, you basically only use an Animate Guardian if you are 100% sure it was not going to die. And so now you don't have to worry about that. It really expands out the possibilities. So it could be you, your Animate Guardian, and your mercenary, all with items that synergize with one another. It's really kind of fascinating, the possibilities they've introduced here. Ridiculously overpowered in a lot of circumstances. You know, you can read the forums and you can read about what people are doing. And if you, Doriani's prototype, for example, or you can just figure out some things on your own, which, again, to me, that seems like what's most fun. Hope you're having a great league. I'll see you next time.